Yo guys, your boy Oren here, how y'all doing? And today we have a special video, and in this video I'm gonna talk about the players that we should sell and how much money are we gonna generate by selling them. And after that, I'm gonna just I'm gonna calculate everything, and I'm gonna give you like a total budget of how much money we're gonna have after selling these players, like an estimation. And yeah, let's get into it. Before starting the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna try to start posting from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and maybe some posts on weekends. But my consistent posting schedule is gonna be on Monday through Thursday, and hopefully you guys are gonna enjoy the video. So yeah, subscribe, like, and comment, and yeah, enjoy the video. The first player we should sell is none other than Michy Batshuayi, and I kind of feel sorry for Michy. He's been forced to play in systems that he hasn't really suited to. I think he made his move from Marseille a little bit too early. He could have stayed there, or he could have moved on to another team before coming to Chelsea, and I think it's the right time for him to move. I hope he can move to a team that he can actually play the way he's suited to. He's like a finisher. He's not really like a hold up play striker, or he's not like a he's not a false nine, or he's not like a complete forward. He's just a finisher. So I think if he goes to a team that they really need a finisher, and if they're gonna create the chances that he needs, I think he's gonna be a very good signing for them, and I think we can get 20 million for him. So yeah, on to the next player, and it's Kennedy. As you guys know, Kennedy joined us in 2015-16 season. He had few injuries here and there, and he was kind of forced to play in the positions that he wasn't really suited to. He played in left back, left wing back, and I think his natural position was more like a winger, like a right winger specifically, because I think he suits to like of those wingers, who cut inside with their left foot on the right side. And I think he's that type of a player. Due to certain circumstances, he played in those defensive positions that he really doesn't suit to. So I hope he goes to a club that he actually plays and that suits him. He went to loans few times, but he hasn't really performed, and he hasn't made the right impression for him. And I think we can get like 10 million for him. And I think that's a fair price. 8 million, maybe 8 or 10, between 8 and 10 million. I think it's fair, and he's still young, so he can still develop and become a good player. Next player, we got Danny Drinkwater. Obviously, that's a must sell for us, in my opinion. He signed for us in the 2017-18 season, and he's been awful for us. I think he probably played like 10 games for us, maybe even less. And I think it's time for him to go. We can sell him probably for 10 million, or between 5 and 10 million. That's a big loss. We bought him for 35 or 40 million pounds, which is some ridiculous money for that type of player. I don't know who decided to buy that player, but he should go. Obviously, he went to Aston Villa and Burnley. He didn't make the right impression there too. So I don't know what happens. He hasn't really made the, he's out of pitch life, kind of affected his in-game performances. I think his personal life affected his performance, and I think when he sorts it out, he can be a decent Premier League midfielder. I think there are a few clubs who can do a midfielder like him. I think maybe he's gonna suit to a Crystal Palace, or I don't know, maybe a Newcastle. He can go there. I think that those teams suit his game style, just sitting deep, holding their position, and keeping their shape. I think that's how he plays. And yeah, I think making 8 or 10 million from him, that's a pretty good deal. That's 20 or 30 million loss, which is a big loss for us. And I think our board should do a better job than that. And the next player, we got Timo Bakayoko. Obviously a very suspect player, I would say. When he's joined us in the 2017-18 season, he had a big reputation in France, and he was named the next Patrick Vieira when he was in Monaco. And when he joined us, the moment I saw him, I saw there is some technical deficiencies in his game. I could see that he has certain abilities, bringing the ball forward from the deep, like dribbling, but he rarely did that. His concentration wasn't there, and his passing was shocking. And I think he's just a sole DM. He doesn't really do a lot of he's not really great on the ball. And I think it's better for him to go, to a club that usually defend deeply, especially. And I think maybe some mid-table Premier League clubs who are usually sitting back would be perfect for him, or he can just stay in France. Obviously, PSG and AC Milan are interested in him, so I hope we can make around 25 to 30 million from him, and I think that's a fair deal for him, especially with his age profile. He's not that old too, he still has time to grow, and I think it's time for him to go. Next player we got Kepa Arrizabalaga. Obviously this one I'm not sure it's gonna happen or not, depends if you find the right keeper, or if you're gonna find the right club to actually pay the necessary money for to keep to take Kepa out of our club, or even just loan him. I think his price is probably dropped by 50%, maybe even more. Probably his price is around 30 million, which is some ridiculous drop. We bought him for 72 million pounds, and that's just unacceptable from our board. I don't know who made that decision to buy him. It was just crazy. I didn't know when he bought him. I was willing to give him time. I was I don't know, maybe he's a good keeper, maybe he can be a future world-class goalkeeper. But even last season I could see some signs that he had some mistakes in him, especially his physicality. In the Premier League, if you're a goalkeeper, you have to be physical, you have to be commanding, but Kepa just didn't have that. Especially I remember last season, his wrist was a big problem of his. The ball just went through. It's just he couldn't hold the ball, and I was just pissed off because of that. So I think maybe a loan move would be reasonable, but I think if you can sell him even for a loss, a 50% loss, I think that should be okay, I guess. Next player we got Georginio, and another player that depends on the other clubs if they have the money. I think the only potential team that I can see that will buy Georginio is Juventus. They really need him. Pjanic, he's going to Barcelona, and I think Georginio will perfectly suit in his regista role. I think that's the best position he can play at. Playing him in a two-man midfield next to Kovacic isn't really a good idea. Both of them are really not great defensively, and I think Georginio, with his age profile and with the amount of money we can get it for him, which is around 40 million, 45 million pounds, that's a good deal. We should sell him, just move on from him. He's a good player. He doesn't really suit our system, but I believe he can do a great job for Juventus and Maurizio Sarri. So 40 or 45 million pounds would be a great deal for us. And next player we got Marcos Alonso, and as you guys know, Marcos Alonso is not really a left back. He's a left wing back. We kind of moved on from the left wing back position. I know we played left wing back position. What happened to my sound? We played 3 at the back, but I think I think he deserves to move to a club that they play with left wing backs. I think he still can do a job for them. Not as a left back. That's where I think we should move on from him. He's old, he's slow, he doesn't have the physicality to play as a left back. However, I believe he can perfectly play as a left wing back, and maybe a team like Inter Milan, or maybe, who knows, maybe even Wolves, they can buy him, play him as a left wing back, and he can perfectly suit that role. I like Marcos Alonso. He's a very passionate player, but due to his physical circumstances and physical abilities, he's not really suited to our system. And selling him for 20 million pounds, that's a very good deal. And next player we got Ross Barkley, another player that has been struggling with a lot of injuries, but recently he's been playing good in my opinion, especially since the restart. And actually before the last 2 games before the restart, he was really good, and after the restart he's been pretty solid. Usually he's kind of quiet in the games, but I'll be honest, he's been very solid. He doesn't really, he hasn't made any mistakes, and I think if you don't sell him, there is not a problem. He can perfectly play in in this like cup games. He's definitely good enough. He can cover those games, and he can get the odd start in the Premier League or the Champions League, depending on the injuries or the suspensions. But I think selling him for 25 to 30 million will be a great deal, especially when we bought him for 15 million pounds, somewhere around in that region. And I think clubs like Everton, West Ham, those kind of clubs, they really need midfielders. I think Barkley would do a great job for them. I think he's still young, he can develop. And he has a big reputation in England. Gareth Southgate rates him highly, and he can easily get a move to at least a mid-table club in the Premier League. And I can see that happening, especially with his price price region. He can easily get a move like between 25 million, 30 million. That's a very good price for him, and I think he can play in those clubs. Yeah. Next player, we got Rahman, and another left back we signed in the 2015-16 season, which he was pretty disappointing. He played like maybe 1 or 2 games for us, and after that we never saw him. He just went to loans or he was injured, and I think we just have to move on from him, getting probably like, I don't know, between like 2-3 million or 5 million pounds for him would be, I guess, good, especially considering his injury record. And we just have to move on from him and take the loss. Next player, we got the Victor Moses, our right wing back in our title winning season in the 2016-17 season. And another player that you have to play in a certain way to get the best out of him. Obviously Antonio Conte found that system, which was his preferred right wing back position. I think Moses isn't really good enough to play as a winger. He doesn't really have the attacking qualities, shooting, creating chances. But I think he's definitely good enough to play as a right wing back. He's got the physicality, which is very important for that position. He's got the decent crossing. He's got decent defending for a right wing back. For a right wing back, you don't need to be defensively perfect, because you got that extra center back covering for you, which is understandable. And I think going to just like Marcos Alonso, finding a 3 at the back team would be the best option for him. I hope Inter Milan consider buying him, because recently they had some inside problems with Antonio Conte, and maybe he's gonna leave. So if he leaves, I don't know, are they gonna stick to 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, whatever they play? So I don't know, depending on their situation, if they get Alonso or Moses, that would be a great deal for us. And the next player we got is Zappacosta. Zappacosta, another player that suffered a big injury this season, and he missed the majority of the season, but recently started playing after the restart. And he's been disappointing too for us. Another disappointing signing in the 17-18 window. And it's time to move on from him. He has a decent reputation in Italy. I guess we can make like, I don't know, 10 million or 10 to 12 million pounds from him. He can do a decent job in Italy, and I think selling him and getting the money to buy another players for our first team, that would be a great decision. For him, I would say 10 to 12 is fair. Victor Moses, like another 7 or 8 million pounds, that's good. Next player, we got Emerson Palmieri, and considering if we're gonna sign a left back, and who knows, I think we will probably sign a left back, and who knows, maybe we're gonna let both Alonso and Emerson go, but I would preferably keep Emerson. I just put him there, I think, because I don't know, recently there's been a lot of news and rumors that he's probably gonna leave, but I think I would rather keep him instead of Alonso. I think he has more physicality to him, especially his pace. His defending is better. He's not as strong as Marcos Alonso, but he's faster, better on the ball, and he can do a decent job as at least as a backup left back for next season. Considering if both of them leave, then we're not gonna have anyone. Probably Ian Motsen and the player we're gonna sign, probably Tagliafico Telles or whoever it is. And if he stays, I would be happy. And he's been really struggling with injuries. I don't know, his mentality, I don't know, it's questionable. He can do better. He has the talent, but it depends on him to get the best out of him. he has to be consistent. That's the most important thing. Obviously, the purple patch he had in the beginning of the season was very good, but he didn't continue that form, especially after his injury, and we didn't really see him after that. So yeah, I think if we sell him for 20-25 million, that would be good. If you don't sell him, I guess it would be a decent backup left back. And on to the last part, we got Rudiger or Christensen. I think one of them are gonna go. I don't think we're gonna sell Tomori because he's a youngster and he has a big future. Kurt Zuma has been our best offender, so that would be ridiculous to sell him unless we get like an offer, or due to certain circumstances, we have to just move on from him and sell him. But I think the logical players to sell is either Rudiger or Christensen. Rudiger, I think he's been disappointing this season. Last year he was arguably our best center back. He was great at covering the area behind David Luiz, and he was just great covering for Azpilicueta. And I think he did a very great job in the last season. However, this season when he got injured and his performances haven't been so good, he's been struggling with his physicality. I mean, he hasn't won a lot of headers. He was winning a lot of, at least way more headers since last year, but I think he dropped off. He's been having a lot of injury problems in his career. I think selling him for like a price around 30-35 million, I guess, would be a good decision. He definitely, skipping him would, another benefit that he has if we keep him is that he's a very vocal defender. He has a good vibe to him. He actually, a lot of players like him in the dressing room. The German players that we have, Werner is in our club and possibly Havertz joining us. That would be a great thing to have a player of that sort of like characteristics in our club to help them, relax and get to know the conditions of the club and the league and just the city and the country overall. And I think having a player that is beneficial. However, on the pitch, keeping him as a starting defender, I highly doubt that he's good enough to play at least in a top 4 team as a starter. I think he could be a great squad player, but not as a starter. Especially, one weakness I've seen in his game that isn't really talked about enough is his positioning. Most of the players, it could be like maybe say he's an aggressive defender, but like in this recent game, especially against Arsenal or Liverpool, his positioning has been exposed. He usually leaves his line too early or too late, and he gets caught, and it's been disappointing. So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets sold. Or Andres Christensen, another young player that definitely has the potential to be a great center back. However, his physicality lets him down. If you're in the Premier League and you have that type of a physicality, you just cannot compete against the attackers. It's really hard. You have to grow physically. Unless he hits the gym, he gets bigger, and that would help him maybe. But I think if you're gonna sell Christensen, I think it would be good for him to go to like an Italian league or like a Bundesliga, because there's, I guess, less physicality in there, or maybe even Spanish league. Who knows? But I think one of them is probably gonna go. And overall, I think after all of these players we sold, we're gonna probably generate around between 260, 270 or 280 million euros. And after the agent fees and after the additional costs like for the players and stuff, we're gonna probably have around 250 million euros after all of these players sold. And I think this is a great budget to improve our team, not considering our current budget, which will most likely be spent on Kai Havertz, and we already spent some money on Ziyech, Werner, and we need to spend all this money on the left back, a center back, a goalkeeper. And I think if we spend our money in the right way, we definitely have a good chance to at least compete for the title for next year. And who knows, maybe in 2 years or maybe even 3 years, we can win the title, compete for the European titles, and go back to the top. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow I'm gonna drop a video of who should we buy with this our current budget. As I said, we got like around 250 million, and probably with our current budget we got around 300 million or maybe even more, depending if we sell our bigger assets. Maybe sometimes who knows, maybe we sold Kante, or maybe we sold certain players that we don't really have to sell, you know. Maybe our budget is gonna go up or go down, but I think tomorrow I'm gonna drop a video of what players we should sign. And yeah, see you later guys, bye bye.